Well, good morning. It is 9:06. I am Pamela Furr with you on this Tuesday. It is not Monday. No. It is Tuesday. And glad to have you with us today. McMorray is in the house. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. That's McMorray. And then we have Jay Harper, who's in the newsroom today, and for Ken Weaver. Hello over there, Jay. Glad to have all of you on board. Our phone number is 615-737-9986. That's also the Super Text line. We're on Super Talk TV, where you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube TV, and our website, 997wtn.com. Breaking news. Hunter Biden. And I love this. I love the headline. Let me see. Let me pull this back up. Daily Mail had this headline. Justice is swerved. Is that not fantastic?
That's great.
Justice is swerved. Hunter Biden will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax offenses and reaches a deal with the DOJ over illegal gun possession while addicted to crack. Justice is served. So here is the information. The president's son has been under investigation. You know this, 4 years for tax and financial allegations, as well as paperwork for purchasing a handgun where he attested that he did not abuse drugs. That contradicted admissions in his own autobiography, in fact. So, sources are telling NBC News and others that prosecutors will recommend probation, which would spare the president's son jail time, but could land him in hot water if he violates the terms. The question is, will he violate the terms? And, depending on how he has gotten over his addictions to drugs. Everybody seems to say he's doing fine these days as far as his addiction goes. A document was filed with the court today with the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss. Oh, he's the one that filed it. Stating that the criminal information charges the defendant with tax offenses, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax, as well as 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance. Regarding the gun charge, Hunter has agreed to enter a pretrial diversion agreement with respect to the firearm information. The letter stated the prosecutors and Biden's lawyer jointly request a court appearance on the firearm charge and a plea hearing on the tax charge. So there you go. Justice is swerved. All right, now let's just be on these charges. I think that he is pleading to a deal that most Americans would probably get as well. I don't know that they're showing him any favoritism. You can disagree with me, and I could very well be wrong. Just on the surface, I don't know that favoritism is being shown here. His bigger problems are, of course, the pay to play schemes. That's Hunter's bigger problems. The bank accounts that were set up in shell company corporation names and millions of dollars exchanging hands from entities outside of the U.S. with members of the Biden family, including Hunter Biden. That truly is his bigger issue. That's his bigger problem. Last year, Hunter paid back the feds for the outstanding taxes. So there's that. He's paid all the money back. And again, if any other American did that, I think we'd be seeing the same kind of thing. I really do in this instance. The Hunter Biden probe has been a lingering political issue, obviously, for the Biden administration. Republicans have been hammering the administration for allegedly uneven application of justice after a federal grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump on charges of willful retention of national security documents and conspiracy to obstruct an investigation into the matter. Now, I agree with the Republicans. Donald Trump should be treated like any other American who may have had documents in their home that didn't belong there, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about that. We talked about it last year. So I agree that this is a weaponization of the Department of Justice against Donald Trump. He's not being treated like everybody else is. So I think actions speak louder than words in this case. That Donald Trump is not only targeted but being charged simply because he is Donald Trump. Hunter Biden, in this case, I believe is getting treated like any other American. It's, a classic case of what's good for me, not good for thee, or what's good for me ain't good for thee. Anyway, a separate probe of classified material uncovered at Biden's home and former office is ongoing. So they have not completed that investigation, taken their dear sweet frickin' time on that one. House Republicans have demanded special counsel Jack Smith, who is heading up the Trump probe, as well as a probe into January the 6th, hand over materials about how early decisions got made in that matter. Meanwhile, the plea deal comes despite President Biden telling MSNBC when asked about Hunter, he said, "My son has done nothing wrong." Well, your son disagrees with you also, Mr. Biden. Biden told the network following months of public reports about the substance of the probe, "I trust him, I have faith in him, and it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him." You still proud? Hunter's failure to pay taxes came from a time when he was acting as a high-flying international lawyer, doing deals around the globe, while also, according to his autobiography, doing lots of drugs. His dealings extended from Ukraine, where he won a lucrative position on the board of the Burisma energy firm, to trips to China, where he is accused of trying to leverage his father's influence while Biden was vice president. Information gleaned from his infamous laptop, which, according to a Wilmington repair shop owner, Hunter dropped off seeking computer support but never reclaimed it, shows him posing naked with a gun. What is that, your gun? Or are you just happy to see me? What's that Mae West Mae West line? Anyway, shows him posing naked with a gun and smoking what appears to be a crack pipe while passed out in bed. The president and first lady love their son and support him as he continues to rebuild his life. We will have no further comment. That's coming from a White House spokesman. Ian Sams said that regarding this plea deal now that has come down the pike. Hunter Biden will plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax offenses and has reached a deal with the DOJ for lying about using drugs when he bought a gun. So that is the latest on Hunter Biden. Again, he's got bigger problems. He's got bigger problems than this probation that he's facing on these small things. We're talking about much bigger issues when it comes to Hunter Biden. The House Oversight Committee continues to investigate. As we continue to get more and more information about that case, we will certainly pass that on to you. Now, we are...
Real quick, Pamela.
Sure.
4911 on Supertext brings up an interesting point. It's a question. I wonder if an immunity from other charges is built into this plea agreement?
I think if it were, we would know. We would know. Yeah, because if they've already filed all of this, then that would be public knowledge. I think.
Yeah.
But that is a good question. Good question. All right. Now, the other thing that we are watching today, which I find extremely interesting, is this tube. I'm going to call it a tube. It is a, what is it officially called? Hold on a second here. We are grateful for family, blah, blah, blah. A submersible with 5 people on board, including a British billionaire, Hamish Harding. They were taking basically a tourist trip to go see the Titanic on the bottom of the ocean floor. You could not pay me enough money to do that, but it's missing. They've lost contact with this submersible. And I got to tell you, reading about it, it is so small with 5 people on it, no chairs. You're sitting on the floor, legs crossed, looking out a little porthole, I guess you'd say. There's also cameras on it, so there's also a 4H kind of screen that's in there that you can also see things on the ocean floor, including the Titanic. They are only going to be able to survive a few more days, and then all the oxygen is gone if they're not dead already. We have to pray for these people and then pray next time they think a little clearer before going down into something like that. Holy smokes. 5 people on board. If the submersible is intact right now, the 5 people will be facing dwindling oxygen levels and fighting the cold. Think about that. And the risk of hypothermia. Remember it's cold down there. Hypothermia will be a risk if the sub is still at the bottom of the ocean because the deep ocean is just above freezing cold. The question, though, is where is it? Is it on the bottom? Is it floating? Is it mid-water? They haven't determined that because they have yet to find it. It's owned and operated by Ocean Gate Expeditions. They launched around 4 a.m. on Sunday, was taking the crew on its tour of the 1912 shipwreck of the Titanic. I'll go see, the movie, and I'll go watch documentaries. That's enough for me. The crew lost communication with the sub's mothership an hour and 45 minutes into the 2-hour descent, and there is now a desperate search to find the vessel and those on board before the air runs out. I heard a news report over the weekend that they wonder if it is among the Titanic wreckage, somehow got stuck in the wreckage. Wouldn't that be just bizarre? All right. So we're keeping our eyes on that story as well. I'm Pamela Furr. So glad that you're here today. We're going to talk about the parents of the kids who died at Covenant School, asking for the shooter's writings to stay private. There are 2 letters now that have been released from those parents. We'll talk about it coming up next. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As Pamela has been reporting, Hunter Biden will plead guilty to 3 charges, according to a court filing, and a named storm develops in the Atlantic. I'll have those stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Jay. It is 9:25, so I'm doing a little bit of research as we're talking because the story just broke about Hunter Biden and his plea deal to avoid jail time. He's pleading guilty to tax offenses, cutting a deal on a gun charge. So I started to look up people who have actually avoided jail time for tax evasion or people who have been charged with tax evasion to see what the average outcome is. And I had forgotten there's a whole list of celebrities who have been convicted of tax evasion. One comes to mind, Wesley Snipes. Remember that in 2008, Wesley Snipes was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of failing to file tax returns. During this time, he kept $7 million in taxes from the federal government. So he began serving prison time in December of 2010 and was released in April of 2013. I'd forgotten all about that. How about Mike the Situation Sorrentino? Do you remember him? Jersey Shore guy, the Situation. He pled guilty to tax evasion in 2018. He was accused of failing taxes in full on nearly $9 million in earnings. He was sentenced to 8 months in prison. He served from January of 2019 to September of 2019. So that's 2 so far that actually went to jail for it. Here's one, Stephen Baldwin. He pled guilty to not paying taxes, or at least New York State income taxes. He told reporters his tax avoidance was not deliberate, but he had received bad advice from lawyers and accountants. He dodged jail time, paid the debt off within 1 year, which allowed him to avoid probation. So he didn't go to jail for his, but that was state income tax. That wasn't federal income tax. How about Ja Rule? In 2011, rapper Ja Rule, whose real name is Jeffrey Adkins. I like Ja Rule better.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
He pled guilty to failing to file tax returns on more than $3 million in income. He was sentenced to 28 months in prison and agreed to pay $1.1 million in back taxes. He scored an early release in May of 2013, and the BBC reported he would remain on home confinement, and he did until July of 2013. How about that? Darryl Strawberry. I forgot about this. Darryl Strawberry pled guilty and was sentenced to 3 months in prison and 3 months of house arrest. This was for federal tax evasion. I don't know who Fat Joe is. I guess he's a rapper.
Yeah. And he's been on some TV shows.
All right. So he pled guilty to 2 counts of failing to file taxes with the IRS. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison and a fine, and 1 year of supervised release. Joe Francis. Remember Joe Francis? You're not going to remember Joe Francis, Mac, and we may have talked about this. He's the Girls Gone Wild guy.
Oh, yes. We did talk about this.
You remember we had that conversation?
Yeah, I'm looking up now. Okay,
so
wow.
He pled guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts. He was ordered to pay nearly $250,000 in restitution to the IRS and was sentenced to 301 days that he already served and 1 year of probation. So he was behind bars for almost a year. And then served a year of probation. Lauryn Hill, there's another one. Let's see. She is still, it looks like, working to resolve her tax debts. Heidi Fleiss, she went to prison. Sophia Loren, doesn't look like that she went to prison. Let's see.
So when are they going to track down Al Sharpton?
Right? Chuck Berry. Here's another. Richard Hatch. He was I guess he won on The Survivor, that TV show. Pete Rose. Hello.
Yeah, that was for not claiming income from card
Gambling.
shows.
Yeah.
At card shows.
Leona Helmsley. Martha Stewart, Nicolas Cage, Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie put out an album to pay his tax
his
debt.
debt,
He only raised about $3.5 million on a $12 million debt, so he had to fork over the other $9 million out of his,
But no
pocket.
prison time for him. No. Tony Braxton, Mark Anthony. I mean, the list goes on. Sinbad. The list goes on. So, I mean, maybe Hunter isn't getting treated like everybody else. I may have misspoken there right off. It seemed fair, but I may have misspoken. If Martha Stewart has to do jail time, if Wesley Snipes has to do jail time, Ja Rule for crying out, and Fat Boy Hunter Biden maybe needs to do at least a month or 2 or 3 in jail for crying out loud. All right, it is 9:31. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 9:31, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Cloudy, some scattered showers in the area. We'll have a chance of those off and on all day long. We'll get you a complete forecast, though, here in a bit. As Pamela's been reporting this morning, the breaking news, Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, will plead guilty to 3 federal charges. The Justice Department revealed that today in a court filing. Hunter will plead guilty to 2 federal tax misdemeanors and 1 charge tied to gun possession. Again, that's according to a filing in a federal court in Delaware. He will appear in court to plead guilty to the charges at a future date to be determined. Tropical storm Brett has formed in the central Atlantic Ocean. It's likely to strengthen into a hurricane, most likely sometime tomorrow night. Currently, it has winds at about 45 miles an hour. It's moving west as it travels toward the Caribbean. And the Tennessee Volunteer Baseball Team, they live to play another day in the College World Series. The Vols came back from a 4-0 deficit yesterday to eliminate Stanford by a 6-4 score. The Vols, they'll play again today in another elimination game. They lose and they're done. They'll play LSU at 6 o'clock tonight in Omaha. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have 2 people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck? And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person filing at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing education and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Is that Ja Rule? Who is that?
No, this is you two.
Okay, but who is it? It's YouTube, but who is it?
What do you mean?
Who is this? Who? I don't know who this.
It's U2, the band. So
U2.
U2.
I thought
Vertigo.
you said YouTube.
No, it's U2.
Who's on first?
I was going, what do you mean, who is it? I don't know.
I thought you said YouTube. I'm so sorry. All right, well, okay, awesome. Thank you very much. It is 9:39. I got completely derailed and distracted. Very fun. All right, so we're going to get into a serious conversation here. And I have to be honest with you. I may tear up, so be prepared for that. It just might happen. I can't help it. I am an emotional human being. There are two parents who have decided to write a letter in favor of keeping the writings of the Covenant shooter private and keep it out of the public realm. And I sympathize and empathize, but I do disagree. But I at least want to make sure that you have heard from these two parents. It's only fair. They have a right to speak out. they have suffered the ultimate price here. With the loss of their child, they have a right for their voice to be heard, and I want to make sure it's heard. I still disagree, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. I think some of this may be misguided emotion, but we'll see. One parent states, "I have no desire to write this statement. Every natural instinct in me tells me to hide from the world and shelter what is left of my family. I long for privacy and to be left alone from media intrusion, homicide investigations, and unwelcome legal battles." Now, I'm stopping right there. This is a mother writing this. First of all, I know that no one from WTN has been contacting her. I am not a big fan of media intrusions. So if you want your privacy, you need to mourn. I personally am not going to try to get you on the air for an interview. My door is always open, but I'm not going to harass anybody to try to get an interview. That's my style. There are others that are different, but that's just my style. Homicide investigations. Your child was murdered. I would think you would want to know everything about this case to make sure that everybody involved is brought to justice. This Covenant shooter has also paid the ultimate price and may or may not be burning in hell right now. I'm not sure what else there is to investigate, but I understand. And then she says, "I long for privacy and to be left alone from unwelcome legal battles. To my knowledge, no one's suing you. No one is taking you to court. And truthfully, you can turn off the radio. You can turn off social media. You can hide while you grieve and while you heal. It is your choice. I say that with love." The letter goes on to say, multiple parties who clearly care nothing about the well-being of their fellow humans seek to rob the 6 murder victims of dignity in their deaths by demanding the release of sensitive details of a very active and ongoing police investigation. She continues, "These are details that no outside party has any need or right to see, and that no one here would want released in the devastating event their place was switched with mine." That's a blanket statement. She can't speak on behalf of me. She doesn't speak on behalf of Mac or others that are listening to this radio station right at this moment. She added, if there are any, I'm sorry, I added a word. I apologize. If they are successful in publishing and de facto platforming the Covenant school shooter, the odds are overwhelming in our broken society that there are individuals out there already walking down a twisted and evil path, lurking in the dark, rotting places of the internet, seeking the final motivation, encouragement, enticement to pull off a devastating attack of their own with the following simple formula: kill kids, get yourself killed, be famous forever. Now, I would like to note that very few people in Nashville, if any, from a media standpoint, have mentioned the shooter's name in a very long time. It's like, and no one sent down any kind of rules or regulations. I think we all, because this is all part of our community, have made that decision on our own. We don't want to make her famous. So she's just referred to as the Covenant shooter. I also disagree with the statement that the odds are that anything that she writes or has written could be used in a copycat form. You don't know that. And the truth of the matter is, at least for me, I would like to see what some of the signs were of a mind gone horribly wrong. Her writings could help in those kinds of studies for the future in trying to identify problems. Now, this was Aaron Kinney, whose son William was killed that day. That's who wrote that letter. Katie and Michael Dykus, parents of Evelyn, also called for the documents to remain sealed, and this is what they wrote. As one of the families going through such deep grieving of losing their loved one after simply dropping her off at school, we hope a more respectful, clear view can truly start to occur to help make a change that does not include releasing volumes of leverage for others planning similar devastation in this nation. Several other parents also added that their children have had trauma responses, including nightmares, trouble eating and sleeping, and that it's important to keep the documents private for their families to heal. Releasing the documents or keeping the documents private and sealed is not going to change the nightmares those children are having, the anxiety those children are having. It's I don't know that you can produce evidence to show that it would be a detriment to the kids. Now, these documents obviously are at the center of a legal battle over whether they should be released to the public or kept private. These were heartfelt letters from these parents, and I understand. But you have to understand, we have a governor that wants to call lawmakers back to the state capitol to devise some sort of legislation that he believes could help in deterring action from someone deranged in the future. How can we do that without knowing what was in the mind of this deranged transgender? How can we know that? And I say this with love. I say this with compassion and empathy. I say this as someone who stood with the families of Covenant the day that it happened. We all did. The city was on edge that day. It felt like it happened to all of us. I still stand by my belief that our community is better served by having all the information. Just like in every other shooting that has happened in the last, or at least mass shooting that has happened in the last 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, where writings of the deranged were released. That's my 2 cents. I'm giving it in a calm, collected way so you can hear the empathy in my voice. I wanted to make sure all of us had an opportunity to hear from those parents. They have a right to be heard. But I disagree with their statements. I continue to pray for the families at Covenant. It is 9:50. I am Pamela Furr, 615-737-9986. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hunter Biden reaching a plea agreement with the DOJ, and more news on the search for that missing submersible vessel in the North Atlantic. We'll have those stories coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Jay. It is 9:57 here on this Tuesday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am Pamela Furr. We are blowing bubbles, by the way, if you're watching on Super Talk TV.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, I think you did. It's a great big bubble I just blew. Anyway.
I'll have to rewind on YouTube.
Very bizarre. Yeah, you can rewind at any time. Watch whenever you want to on Super Talk TV. We make it very convenient for you. In the meantime, we are talking about the Covenant shooting once again because we continue to wait to see when or if the shooter's manifesto, that's what we're calling it. It's actually a compilation of all kinds of writings, laptops, journals, etc., that are in the possession of the Metro Nashville Police Department. Well, two parents have actually written letters now pleading to keep those documents and those writings secret. And they've given their reasons why. They believe that media is intruding in their lives and they're trying to just pick up the pieces after their children were gunned down by this nut. Bill is on the line, 615-737-9986. Hello, Bill. Welcome to WTN.
Good morning, Pamela. It's a pleasure to talk with you. I've been listening to you for quite some time.
Awesome.
And I appreciate the approach you're taking on this. And I can hear your empathy, and I know you've given it a lot of thought regarding the release or not releasing the manifesto. In this case, I disagree with you. And my reason, I've been listening to these discussions for a while, and no one else has come up with what I think is a real good reason not to publish it. And that is, publishing that manifesto is exactly what the shooter wanted us to do. So and if anybody else follows her and wants to do this, they'll write a manifesto and they'll think, oh, if I go shoot up a bunch of people, then I'll get my manifesto published.
Here's why. Hang on, Bill. Hold on. Let me say this. You know, it's not one document. It's not actually a manifesto. That's just what we're calling it, so we don't have to continue to say the journals, the laptops, the suicide letter, all of that. It's not an actual one document explaining all of this.
True, but I think that regarding whether or not it should be published, I don't think we need to do that because whatever's written there by that person, they wanted published. Now, the good that can come from using that document would be let the police have that information to help them better deal with these situations in the future, and let's provide the information to the educational system, public and private, so that they can perhaps better prepare for dealing with these situations. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we should comply with the shooter's wishes. And that's just my thought.
But releasing it to education is making it public.
No, to the educational system.
Well, you don't think that releasing it to the school system, it would get out?
Well, it wouldn't get out in its original, complete form. And if the teachers are told not to share it, maybe they would comply. It would, I think, deter, maybe even certainly inhibit the shooter's wishes.
Do you know that the shooter wanted to be famous? Do you know that?
I didn't say they wanted to be famous. I said they wanted us to read their writing.
Do you know that for sure?
Well, let me just say this. Why would they write them if they didn't want us to read them?
Well, this is like 10 years of writings.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I journal things.
This is my take on it. Well, I'm just saying. I don't know the right answer.
Well, I journal things that I don't necessarily want to be out there, I can assure you. I don't know. I mean, it's something to think about.
You're also not a mass murderer.
Yeah. Yes, that is true. Thank you, Bill. I
Well,
appreciate.
thanks for taking my
Sure.
call, Pamela. I love your shows.
Thank you. I appreciate your phone call today. Running a little late, wanted to continue that conversation there. But it is time for news, so stick around for that. And when we come back, we'll give you the latest on this Hunter Biden deal and what Donald Trump has to say about this Hunter Biden deal. It's all straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:02. And I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Cloudy, 72 degrees, a full forecast in mere minutes. Hunter Biden reaching a plea deal with the Justice Department, pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and entering a diversion program on a felony gun charge. U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who signed off on the deal, was appointed by former President Donald Trump. ABC chief legal analyst Dan Abrams tells us this announcement addresses what amounts to some technical violations, but the larger tax investigation into both Hunter and Joe Biden are entirely separate issues.
The questions about Burisma and Hunter Biden getting money from China and Republican investigations of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden with regard to money coming from abroad, those are entirely separate issues and investigations. And those in the last 6 months to a year have become much more important to Republican leaders than this criminal investigation.
The Coast Guard says they are searching an area the size of Connecticut for the submersible with 5 people on board that disappeared while diving to the Titanic wreck more than 2 miles below the surface. ABC's Brian Clark has more.
The search for the missing submersible includes sonar buoys to hear any noises, but a major hurdle, the size of the area.
The fact is, you're looking for something the size of a minivan in the bottom of the North Atlantic.
National Geographic editor Kristen Romey says GPS does not work at the bottom of the ocean, so a sonar search will be key. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mager says of the efforts,
the Coast Guard doesn't have all the resources to be able to effect this kind of rescue.
He says they are coordinating with the Navy and the Canadian Navy and Coast Guard, as well as the private operator.
That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
It is 10:06. Good morning. I'm Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is an interesting day because, as you've been learning this morning, Hunter Biden has entered a plea agreement on tax evasion charges and a gun charge for having or purchasing a gun while being a drug addict. You know, you can't be taking drugs and purchase a gun. That's a felony charge. So he has entered a plea agreement, and people are now reacting. Now, on the surface, at first, I'm thinking, well, I mean, that sounds pretty normal. I don't know of a lot of people who actually do jail time for all of this. And then I was sadly mistaken because I did a little research after the news broke. And sure enough, there have been quite a few people who have done at least a little bit of jail time. Quite a few people who are celebrities who have done at least a little bit of jail time, even after a plea agreement. So now I'm asking, is this fair? Did he give a plea agreement here in exchange for, I don't know, information regarding his father? Ooh, wouldn't that be interesting? I doubt it, but I mean, why on earth would he not at least serve a little jail time here? Could it be because he is the president's son? Is there some favoritism here? Well, Donald Trump, of course, is slamming the Department of Justice over this agreement reached with President Joe Biden's son, who pled guilty today to 3 federal charges over a failure to pay income taxes and illegally possessing a firearm. On Truth Social, here is Donald Trump. Wow. The corrupt Biden DOJ just cleared up hundreds of years of criminal liability by giving Hunter Biden a mere traffic ticket. Our system is broken. 2 misdemeanor charges, Hunter pleaded not guilty, related to not paying his income taxes. And an agreement, I think it's a diversion agreement with the Justice Department over illegal firearm possession while he was a drug user. Trump and several of his allies are slamming the announcement as evidence that Democrats receive better treatment from federal agencies compared to Republicans, notably Donald Trump. Because as you know, Donald Trump is facing a historic 37 criminal count indictment over mishandling classified documents when he left office. So let's put this into perspective now that I've had time to live with this. Let's put it in perspective. Donald Trump, who was president of the United States, who had the highest security clearance of anybody, may have had a document. He's accused of having a document in his hand saying, hey, look at this. This is a classified document, right? Showing off to his friends or what have you. Hunter Biden, on the other hand, filling out a form saying he was not a drug user when he applied to get a firearm, possessed that firearm while taking illegal drugs, which is a felony charge. Plea agreement there, Trump charged with 37 different charges over a document that may or may not have been what he said it was. Right? Is there any proof that he was holding a document in his hand that was classified, top secret, whatever? Is there any proof that documents in the boxes stored at Mar-a-Lago were definitely 100% classified? Don't know. Is there proof? There's going to be a trial. In fact, we've learned today that the former president's trial in the classified documents case has been listed to begin August the 14th. A week and a half before the first Republican presidential debate. The trial is expected to last for 2 weeks. So he could be on trial while he's debating other people running for the nomination for the Republican Party for president of the United States. How crazy would that be? Because when you think about it, if he's in the middle of a debate and yet he's also on trial, can't Ron DeSantis use that against him in the debate? Well, we do have one candidate on this stage that's on trial right now. I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of scenarios that could play out in that debate. Judge Eileen Cannon signed an order for a jury trial that could last 2 weeks in her courtroom in Fort Pierce, Florida. Now, there are expected to be delays, right? If Trump's legal team and prosecutors file motions, which are due on July 24th. But, I mean, this would be a speedy trial. I would think for former President Donald Trump, he would want to delay. The latest development in the case came just hours after Trump told Fox News' Brett Baier, which, by the way, I'm going to play some of that interview today, that he didn't hand back boxes of sensitive files because he was just very busy. I'm just busy. Last week, Trump appeared in federal court in Miami and pleaded not guilty to 37 counts related to his mishandling of classified materials, including the willful retention of national defense information and making false statements. He also told Brett Baier that based on the law, he has zero concerns about being convicted in the case. Zero. He also said he didn't give back the documents because he wanted to go through all the boxes and get all my personal things out of there. And I know we've said this a gazillion times here on WTN. All the hosts have pointed this out. Donald Trump didn't actually move the boxes himself. He didn't take the boxes from the White House, put them on a plane or put them on a train or put them on a bus or put them in the back of a car and drive them or fly them or whatever himself to Mar-a-Lago and then unpacked it and put it in bathrooms, ballrooms, wherever those documents were found. He didn't do that himself. I mean, come on. I was very busy, and you've sort of seen, before I send boxes over, I have to take all my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things, golf shirts, pants, shoes, many things, many things. And Biden didn't have the right to do that because he wasn't president. He did not have the right to have any documents at his home because he was not president. But has he been charged? No. Mike Pence, did he have the right to have documents, classified documents that should have been in the National Archives? Did he have a right to have them at his home at any given time? No. Why? Because he was never president. Yet he has not been charged. Pence has already been let off the hook for classified documents that were found at his Indiana home, among all of his stuff, among all of his shirts and shoes and whatnot. Special counsel Robert Hur has been charged with looking into whether Biden committed any crimes after classified documents were found in his D.C. office and his Wilmington, Delaware home from the time serving as vice president. There's no question. If you're charging Donald Trump, you have to charge Joe Biden. Both Pence and Biden voluntarily gave documents back to the government, whereas many of the charges Trump is facing have to do with his resistance to giving them back. It will be unprecedented to have a former president and presidential candidate standing trial, that's for sure. This is uncharted territory. This is new to everybody. I've been down a rabbit hole over the weekend, by the way. I've been watching Clinton documentaries for some odd reason. I just went down that rabbit hole. Boy, I mean, our country went through hell during that time. when Bill Clinton was in office and he was being investigated and another investigation. And here comes another investigation. And all, I think Bill Clinton, believe it or not, and Donald Trump, believe it or not, probably are two of the most investigated presidents of all time. And the truth of the matter, most of the investigations with Bill involved his wife, Hillary. It was actually her. Very, very interesting times, and a lot of people were used as pawns in that whole ugly political game back then. But at any rate, Trump has long argued that he may not participate in the August 23rd GOP debate. It's supposed to happen in Milwaukee. Trump is not committed to participating. It's going to be on Fox, I do believe. Fox will air it. He also, in saying that I don't know that I should commit to this, he has said most of the other candidates are trailing him by 40, 50%. So what's the point? I don't disagree with him. What's the point? The point of debates is to see how well you perform, right? And to get your polling numbers up. You need to right now. You need to at all. It is 10-8.
Would you say that the point of debate's also for the American people?
Yes. Well, that's where the polling numbers would come from.
Well, yeah, of course, but you still, I would still, I don't know, I'd still argue that you still owe it to the American people, no matter what.
But you know where Donald Trump is on all of this stuff. The other candidates, you don't. You know where Donald Trump is because he's already been president. So you know where he is. We don't necessarily, not everybody knows where Vivek Ramaswamy is on all of this. Or Mike, I would even argue you would know where Mike Pence is on most of the issues because he's already been there, right? But Vivek, I don't. Nikki Haley, not necessarily. Tim Scott, want to hear more from him, want to know more about him. Ron DeSantis, I want to see how he performs in a debate situation, although you do have governor debates that you can look at, but this would be the more national stage. But Donald Trump doesn't need any of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
In my opinion. Although it sure would be fun to see him and Ron DeSantis up on that debate stage.
Yes. Selfishly.
Sure would be entertaining. All right, it is 10:19. I am Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 615-737-9986 is the phone number. That's the super text line as well. If you want to comment, you're more than welcome to. We'll be back in a moment on Super Talk.
We'll have more on Hunter Biden's plea deal on federal charges, and a new project that hopes to reduce traffic woes on parts of I-24 was unveiled today. I'll have those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That will be welcome to a lot of people, so we're looking forward to that. That's coming up at 10:30, as Jay just said, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, let's move on to a different story. Did you know over in North Carolina, there's a bit of a scandal going on with their local politics that is kind of interesting, maybe for some. A powerful Republican state lawmaker has been accused of using his position to coerce one of his married employees to have an affair with him. And not just an affair, like group sex and things like that too. Wait, why is the whole producing staff over there giving me thumbs up? What is wrong with you people? All right, North Carolina, here's the story. North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore is being sued by Scott Lasseter. So let's remember those names. House Speaker Tim Moore, this is in North Carolina, is being sued by Scott Lasseter, who claims Moore used his position to entice his now ex-wife into a 3-year affair. Now, in North Carolina, that's one of the states where you can actually sue someone. For instance, if you caught your wife cheating on you, you can actually sue the guy she was cheating with. They've made it legal that you can do that. You can go after, and there's a name for that law, and I'll bring you that here in just a minute. So Lasseter, he's a former Apex City councilman. Apex is south, a little south of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he says his wife Jamie, who is the executive director of the North Carolina Conference of Clerks of Superior Court, admitted to the affair. Okay. The lawsuit states that Jamie said she had group sex with other individuals seeking Tim Moore's political favor, but implored her husband to allow it to continue so she didn't lose her job. Now, these are just accusations. This is what the now ex-husband is suing for. Both Jamie and Moore deny the claims. Lasseter is seeking at least $200,000 in damages for the destruction of his marriage. He's blaming the House Speaker for his wife leaving him and the marriage breakdown. There's only one problem with this. I think that she had filed legal separation papers long before this affair. That's going to be the whole the wrench in the whole thing, right? Well, the lawsuit states Moore used his position as one of the most powerful elected officials in North Carolina to entice plaintiff's wife, a mid-level employee of the state government, to participate in an illicit relationship with him. Here is what I would also say. Tim Moore, the House Speaker in the state of North Carolina, is a single man. I don't care what he does in his private life. I don't care what he does in his private life as long as it is legal. Don't care. You want to sleep with 10 different women, have at it. You want to sleep with 10 different women at the same time, have at it. And you want to throw a dude in there from time to time, have at it. I don't care. It is your life. Government has no business in your life. You're a single individual. And quite frankly, even if you were going through a divorce, I don't know that any of this is my business as long as it's not interfering with the work that you do as a Speaker of the House. Or am I crazy? It's none of my business. What is it? I said this a couple of months ago when I first started doing this shift. I want to start the None Your Business party, right? Remember that? It's none your business.
Mind your own business.
Right. The cases are known, by the way, when husbands or future ex-husbands or wives or whatever sue the individual that their wife or husband may have been sleeping with. It's called alienation of affection. I knew I would find it. And North Carolina is one of the few states that allow jilted spouses to sue someone for interfering in their marriage. Scott Lasseter, this is according to the ex-wife, Jamie, who is said to be sleeping around. She says he has serious mental health and substance abuse issues, which I can only assume led him to file this outrageous and defamatory suit. She says it's false because we've been separated for years, and there is a signed separation document for years. If that is the case, it sounds like her husband just honestly wanted to expose all the sordid details of their affair. And I will say this once again. I don't care. Don't care. You have to answer to God and your children for any of that kind of activity, as long as it doesn't affect your job, as long as it doesn't affect the future in North Carolina, as long as you're not, what's the word I'm looking for, participating in any kind of hostile work environment activities or promising her favors of promotions or whatever. I don't care. Don't care. But that's the little scandal going on to the state right next to us in North Carolina. It is 10:30. Pamela Furr here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got cloudy conditions, 72 degrees. The full forecast is coming up. Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, has been charged by the Justice Department for tax-related misdemeanors. According to a plea agreement, Biden is expected to plead guilty for his failure to pay taxes on income from 2017 and 18. In exchange, prosecutors would recommend probation, and Biden would avoid jail time. ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas has more on another charge that Biden is facing, illegal possession of a firearm. He thinks that charge could be dropped.
He's willing to allow that charge or agree to allow that charge to be filed against him, not entering a plea on that if he does not get into trouble over the course of the next few years, assuming a federal judge, and again, we have to emphasize, assuming a federal judge approves this deal.
The Tennessee Department of Transportation launched the I-24 Smart Corridor project this morning. TDOT hopes the overhead electric lane control signs will improve travel time reliability between Rutherford and Davidson counties. Since 2005, TDOT reported that traffic volumes have increased by more than 60% in Rutherford County segments of I-24. Myself, living in Murfreesboro, I can vouch for that. The Smart Corridor project added 67 overhead lane control signs over 28 miles of I-24 between Nashville and Murfreesboro. That is the latest news. Weather's on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have two people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck. And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person finally at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing, education, and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 10:36. I am Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today on this Tuesday.
was
like
that
a Monday.
Australian?
I don't know
or
what that
I
was.
like Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
Ay, crikey.
All right, and I'm busy blocking people on the super text line. I just note to any of you, if you start name calling disgusting names, I will block you. And you will have to petition the court of Dan Mandis to get you unblocked. He's the boss. But, I mean, it was a pretty disgusting little insult. So, boom, out, gone, see ya.
Yeah, those keyboard warriors, we don't got time. Don't have time
we
for
don't
you.
got time for them. Nope, we do not at all. I'm sorry, that was mean of me. I apologize.
No. Are you kidding me? That the texts were mean. You're not being mean.
All right.
They really were.
So what did they say about me? Come on. I can take it.
It was about me.
Oh, well.
And it was,
now,
I can even take, you're a loser, can't stand you.
Yeah.
I don't want
You've
to listen
got pretty
to you.
thick skin, actually.
Yeah.
You really do.
But when you get to the disgusting area, like a pimple on, and I'm going to leave it at that. I can't say the rest. That's what you are, Pamela. You're a pimple on.
Yeah, that's uncalled for.
Yeah, that's classless. And so I don't even play. I don't even.
Folks can disagree with one another,
Right.
but let's stay civil. Come on.
And you don't have to listen if you don't want to. Really, no one is forcing you. I would like for you to. That is, I enjoy it when people listen. Makes
We
me
prefer that, yes.
It is definitely preferred in this radio business. At any rate, 615-737-9986 is the super text line, and you can also call us on that line as well. In fact, I've got Mike standing by. He wants to discuss that little scandal that's going on over there in North Carolina. If you haven't heard about it, it's out there. The little state house speaker may have been having an affair, although he's single, and the woman he was having an affair with, she says she was legally separated from her husband for years, but the husband is a little ticked off, and he's suing. You can in North Carolina, alienation of affection, I think is what it's called. So he's doing that, and some seedy little details of seedy little trysts, they're coming out right now. Anyway, 615-737-9986. Let's go to Mike, who's on the line. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Pamela. How are you?
Fabulous.
So, just real quick, I get the whole thing. Everybody's entitled to their own private life, et cetera, but that is not the case when it comes to politicians. That is not the case with people that are in public office, and that is the big lie that we have told ourselves over the years, which is why we have destroyed our country internally, because we have separated people's morality from people being put in positions of leadership. You got a bunch of immoral people in the White House. We all complain about it. We got a bunch of immoral people in government all over the place. They're robbing, they're stealing from us blind. They got double standards. Everybody's crying and worried about it. But then we're like, oh, well, it's okay if you're a fornicator and you're a whoremonger and you're doing all this wicked stuff in your personal life. No, it's not, because you cannot separate what that person is doing in their personal life from who they are. That is their fiber. That is their moral character and who they are. And if we do not start electing people that are morally sound instead of all these people that are bankrupt, this is what we're getting in this country, more Joe Biden and people that are like him that do not mind breaking the law. They don't mind if they
But he's not breaking the law.
Nobody's going to do anything.
This House Speaker's not breaking the law.
Right, he's not. But the problem is he's immoral, and therefore, and of course we say he's not. We don't know what this guy's doing. If he is willing to do that kind of stuff in his personal life, he has no problem with stealing money. I guarantee it. He has no problem doing anything that you wouldn't want him to do if he's willing to do these other things immorally. That's the point.
I don't know. Well, hang on. Let me ask you this. So how are you going to know that he participated in these kinds of activities that you're calling immoral, others may not call immoral, you're calling immoral? How do you know before you go to the ballot box? How are you going to know?
Well,
and so now that you do know, and he is Speaker of the House, what do you want to see happen? You think he should be kicked out of office when none of this has affected his job? To my knowledge, none of this has affected his job.
Right. Well, and yeah, so a couple things there. On how do you know? Well, that's where it comes back with community. People don't do any research on the people they're voting for anymore. It's a popularity contest, or they like the guy's name or whatever. Nobody does the research to try to figure out, hey, was the guy, is he a good neighbor? Is his family like him? Nobody digs on these people like they should. Mm-hmm. Is he a good moral church-going man, et cetera, et cetera?
All right, but what if he doesn't go to church? What if he doesn't? In this country, you don't have to go to church. And there's a huge. Hang on, Mike. Hang on. There, in your opinion, and look,
no, that's reality.
Mike,
that's reality.
Stop yelling at me.
It's reality.
Mike, don't yell at me.
Yep.
All right. So that is your reality, but there are others who are Americans who don't believe like you do. You know that, right? And they're
that's
free.
Immaterial.
It is absolutely material. If Mac were running for office, and I said to Mac, "You want me to do my homework? Is it right for me to ask Mac, have you participated in group sex in the last 10 years?" Should I ask that question? Should I ask Mac, Mac, do you believe in God? I think that's a relevant question. Do you believe in God? Do you go to church? If he says no, then you won't vote for him, correct?
Exactly.
But should you ask him what's it like in your private life? He's a single guy. Do you date 5 women at a time? 10 women at a time? Do you have a girlfriend? Are you having sex with her right now? Do you think that's any of your business?
Well, no, I'm not going to ask him personal questions like that.
But you said you said we have to do our homework.
Should know what this person.
You said we have to do our homework. Well, then that's doing my homework.
I don't have to ask him that. If I say, "Hey, are you?" If I find out if the guy is if he is a Christian, and he's not, I'm not voting for him. Why? Because
we're not talking about Christianity.
I know where he stands on a ton of stuff
right,
across the board.
I understand. All right, thank you very much.
Across the board, I know what he's about.
Mike, thank you very much for your phone call. Have a good day. I mean, look, I believe in Christian values. I'm being devil's advocate here. That's all. I believe in Christian values, and when someone's running for office, it is important to me that that person has a moral compass. This guy, according to documents and the news stories that are out there, the Speaker of the House for North Carolina is a single man, so he's not cheating on anybody, number one. Number two, the person that he's with allegedly separated from her husband, legally separated for the last couple of years. It's only accusations that there are group sex sessions for favors. It's only accusations. And the truth of the matter is, just because someone participates in group sex doesn't mean they're automatically going to steal money. I disagree with Mike's assessment there. Everybody has their own vices, right? Everybody has their own problems. They have their own things, their own temptations. No one is perfect. But I don't know that it is my business. Boy, I'm saying this, but you know what? I did ask Alice Raleigh and I did ask Heidi Campbell how their marriages were. But the only reason why I asked that is because Megan Barry had to resign in disgrace because of the affair she was having with her bodyguard.
There's connections there.
Yeah, that's why I asked. It normally would not, it's not my business. It really is not my business. But if that's the track record that we have with the only female mayor of Nashville, I think it's a fair question to ask. Or are you going to, do you need bodyguard protection? Do you think you're going to need that? And if so, is it going to be a female or a male? I think those are legit questions based on prior actions of another mayor. But the truth of the matter is, if a mayoral candidate is sleeping with 10 different people, I don't care. It's her business. The cheating part bothers me because if you're going to cheat there, you might cheat elsewhere. But this guy in North Carolina, he's not cheating on anybody. He's not married. I mean, there comes a point where it's none of our business. Am I not right about that? I think I'm right about that. And when you go to the ballot box, if Christianity is important to you, you'll vote based on that. And I do. But there comes a point, again, I firmly believe that sometimes we probe a little too deep into private areas that are none of our business. I don't think this is any of our business. This sounds like a jilted husband or jilted guy who just wants to drag his ex-wife's lover through the mud and get retaliation because North Carolina allows you to do so and sue with alienation of affection. That's what it sounds like to me, with accusations of group sex for favors and that kind of thing. I don't care. I don't care. So
we've got people on the stream bringing up Scotty Campbell in relation to this, where I don't know, Pamela, you could tell me I'm wrong.
That's the guy who was who resigned in the
yes.
State House. So I don't know what they're saying, but if you're comparing this,
Yeah.
Scotty Campbell, yes, single guy, yes.
Yeah.
The problem is he was making inappropriate comments to an intern. He was in a place of power over interns, right? And so the intern was complaining about comments he made to her, and he didn't stop. And so therefore they moved her out of the apartment complex instead of making him move. Is that what they're saying? I mean, that's what the difference is.
Yeah, that's the
That
difference.
he was harassing someone, hostile work environment. He's in a place of power where the intern is not, and being inappropriate with her. That's the difference. As far as North Carolina goes, you're talking about two consenting adults having a private consenting adult relationship, where I don't know that the Speaker of the House has any kind of power over this director of whatever it was with the Supreme Court there in North Carolina. Not sure that House Speaker has power over her.
He as in Lassiter, Mr. Lassiter is trying to claim that his soon-to-be ex-wife,
right,
did say that to him, but then in this Washington Examiner article, it later states that she has not said that.
She has not said what?
She has not said that because in this, the documents, I'll just read this. The documents also reportedly state that after Lassiter became suspicious, his wife, Jamie Lassiter, was having an affair. He confronted her about it. She confessed it had been going on for 3 years, and quote, that she had engaged in sexual activity with defendant Tim Moore.
And she's saying
and
that
she was
he
feared
didn't say
ending
that.
the relationship would result in her losing her job.
And her losing her job.
And then she has not said that.
She says she has not said
she'd
that.
never said that, yes.
And again, I don't know that he has, the Speaker would have power over her.
Yeah.
Although the Speaker of the House is a powerful position in any state, powerful position in our country too. But I don't know about that. And she's not accusing him. With the Scotty Campbell case, the intern was accusing.
Big difference.
And they found that there was probable cause with the committee that was investigating all of that. So I think that's what the difference is. But the truth of the matter is, Scotty Campbell, if he was sleeping with 10 women, he's single, I don't care. As long as you're not doing anything illegal or harassing somebody, I don't care.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. It is 10:51. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up at 11 o'clock, I'll have more on that Hunter Biden plea deal on those federal charges. We'll also have some other information on the search for that missing submersible in the northern Atlantic. That's all again coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much, Jay. 615-737-9986 on this extremely cloudy Tuesday. It feels like it's pitch black dark outside, is it? I mean, it just is really, really dark in here.
Very dark. Yeah, gloomy.
Gloomy. Oh, no, here we go. Oh, no, I feel it coming. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. All right. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to talk about in the next segment, which I find a tad bit interesting. Let me find it here. Where did it go? There is actually a closed-door meeting that is taking place today with someone I think you will find interesting. And then tomorrow, he is going to appear before Congress publicly. Right now, John Durham is testifying behind closed doors about the scathing report that found the FBI had no basis to investigate Trump and Russia before the 2016 election. So let's talk a little bit about that after the news coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 11 a.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Cloudy, gloomy, and 72 degrees. Traffic note, getting reports of an overturned car that's blocking the shoulder. I-40 eastbound out in the Bellevue area there at the old Hickory Boulevard exit. That's exit 199, so a bit of a problem there for you folks trying to make your way into Nashville from the west. Hunter Biden reaching a plea deal with the Justice Department, pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and entering a diversion program on a felony gun charge. U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who signed off on the deal, he was actually appointed by President Trump a couple of years ago. ABC's chief legal analyst Dan Abrams tells us this announcement addresses what amounts to some technical violations. But the larger tax investigation into Hunter Biden, well, that's an entirely different issue.
Part of the tax crime here was for not reporting money he was getting from overseas. And what some of the leading Republicans would say is we still need to know a lot more about why that money was being paid, was there additional money being paid, et cetera.
The Coast Guard says they are continuing to search an area that is about the size of the state of Connecticut for that submersible with 5 people on board that disappeared while diving down to the Titanic wreck in the northern Atlantic, more than 2 miles below the surface.
The search for the missing submersible includes sonar buoys to hear any noises, but a major hurdle, the size of the area.
The fact is, you're looking for something the size of a minivan in the bottom of the North Atlantic.
National Geographic editor Kristen Romy says GPS does not work at the bottom of the ocean, so a sonar search will be key. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mager says of the efforts,
the Coast Guard doesn't have all the resources to be able to effect this kind of rescue.
He says they are coordinating with the Navy and the Canadian Navy and Coast Guard, as well as the private operator.
That is Brian Clark reporting, and that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
It is 11:05. I'm Pamela Furr on Super Talk. Glad to have you on board today on this Tuesday, cloudy Tuesday, 72 degrees outside. 615-737-9986 is our phone number. That's our super text line as well. Be nice. And you can also find us on Super Talk TV. That would be on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube TV, Facebook, and 99.7 WTN.com. Did I get them all right?
Woo!
Mac Morey over there. That's Mac Morey. And then, of course, you've got Jay Harper in the newsroom as well. The big story. Hello there. The big story that we've been following is that Hunter Biden, has reached a plea deal. What? What are you talking about? It's true. He is going to avoid jail time by pleading guilty to tax evasion charges and that possible gun crime. So Republicans right now are ripping Hunter Biden's deal. They're unsatisfied with his guilty plea in his tax fraud case, calling it a sweetheart deal and a distraction from the more scurrilous bribery allegations that they're probing. Now, I will say this. These charges, compared to what I 100% he's guilty of, believe he's guilty of, these charges are nothing compared to what he is really in trouble for, in my opinion. But when you compare these charges against what Donald Trump is accused of doing, this is ridiculous in this Hunter Biden case. The lawyers reached a deal with prosecutors that would see him plead guilty to 2 tax crimes, just 2, and resolve his gun form violation, likely avoiding jail time. He's getting away with a slap on the wrist when growing evidence uncovered by the House Oversight Committee reveals that the Bidens, all of them, engaged in a pattern of corruption, influence peddling, and possibly bribery. That's coming from James Comer, who is the House Oversight Chair. He released that in a statement. These charges against Hunter Biden have no impact, by the way, on the Oversight Committee's investigation, Comer says. He's been under investigation for the last 5 years for tax and financial allegations, as well as for paperwork fraud, right, for purchasing a handgun where he attested that he did not abuse drugs. But I have to be honest with you. If you abuse drugs, are you going to sign a piece of paper saying, yes, I abuse drugs? That contradicted admissions in his own autobiography, where he detailed an addiction to crack cocaine that led to a stint in rehab. So they were investigating that. So he's pleaded guilty. The agreement still must be approved by a federal judge, so there is that, and comes at a time when the Justice Department is under a lot of scrutiny because of the way that they're handling Donald Trump and that investigation when it comes to so-called classified documents. Hunter Biden pleading guilty to a gun charge and misdemeanor tax charges with no jail time is a stunt to make him look like he's cooperating with the DOJ. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She tweeted that. Meanwhile, the pathetic and weaponized DOJ, who protects their puppet president and refuses to prosecute Joe Biden and Hunter for taking bribes from Ukrainian oligarchs and raking in tens of millions of dollars from foreign countries because the big guy makes policy decisions to help his customers are the real crimes in the Bidens, and the Bidens should be charged. President Trump also commented on Truth Social. What else here? Kevin Hern from Oklahoma, the chair of the Republican Study Committee, wrote on Twitter, Biden's DOJ is treating Hunter with kid gloves, giving him a deal that only the president's son could receive. If any of my constituents pled guilty to the same crimes, they'd be facing jail time. This plea deal will not stop our investigation into the Biden crime family. And so I'll say this, and then I'll take a call, and then we'll move on to what's happening with with John Durham behind closed doors. I'll say this. At the very beginning, when I heard all this, I thought, this isn't that big of a deal. Blah, blah, blah. This sounds like the same thing would happen to any American. Well, then I thought, maybe I need to check that statement just to be on the safe side. And sure enough, most Americans, even when they plead guilty to these kinds of charges, do see a little bit of jail time, even if it's just a few months. And they have to pay back money. They have to make restitution. And I had a whole list of actual celebrities that have actually spent some time in jail for tax evasion charges, even after they pleaded guilty. So he isn't exactly being treated like everybody else, even being treated better than celebrities have been treated. So I take back that original reaction of mine. 615-737-9986. Let's get your reaction. We've got Jerry on the line. Hi, Jerry. Welcome to WTN.
Hey, Ms. Furr. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right. I always love listening to your show. Very sharp-witted and very erudite, and stay focused on the corruption and scamming. And I laughed when y'all talked about Megan Barry because you were so on point with that. But listen, this is exactly what happened with Al Capone. They took a page out of the 20 playbook, okay? He was in Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly, which is like a hardened, back then it's like Castle Grayskull, prison for bank robbers and real high-end criminals. Well, he didn't get locked up for murder or racketeering or prohibition, running shine like the Kennedys. He got locked up for a gun possession charge in Atlantic City. If you go there today, there is a original carpet in his prison cell with a desk and a Tiffany lamp. He had a cell that looked like a hotel room in a prison that was like a medieval dungeon. He had the wording on. You can look it up. I've been to the prison.
I believe you. I believe you.
And this is a joke. You're right. I mean, it's a straw man, a red herring, whatever you want to call it. The stuff he did in Ukraine and the stuff Hillary did with the Uranium One deal with the Russians, that stuff is treason level, definitely prison time, if not worse. Like Trump said, they used to hang people for that stuff. And they're going to give him this charge. That is a complete disrespect, slap in the face to the American public. And then they're going to go after Trump on some stupid documents that are not going to jeopardize national security. And, I mean, they're just projecting their guilt onto Trump and trying to distract us from what's going on their end until the election, and they just brush it all under the rug if they get reelected.
I don't know that. Yeah, God forbid, indeed. I don't know that anybody's distracted, though. I know you say that, but I don't think anybody's distracted.
You're not, that's for sure. I love listening to you.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
You're
I appreciate that.
All right, you have a good day.
Did you get that on tape? Thank you. You as well. Did you get that on tape?
Right.
I'm his favorite.
Oh, yeah, we got that. Yeah, we've got that.
Make sure. Thank you, Jerry. Well, again, we're paying attention. I don't think it's a distraction. I think it is just yet more evidence that the Biden DOJ is not what it should be. The Biden DOJ has been weaponized. The Biden DOJ is not going to treat Hunter Biden equally and fairly in this case and perhaps even in future cases because there's still an investigation going on. Now, it's the House Oversight Committee that's performing the investigation, but there's still an investigation going on. All right, meanwhile, John Durham is testifying today. Two top House committees are going to hear directly from Special Counsel John Durham following the release of that scathing report that found the Department of Justice and the FBI had no basis. Zilch basis to launch the Trump-Russia probe. So let's see. He is, I think, either right now or very shortly will be testifying before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Mike Turner of Ohio is holding that closed-door hearing with Durham. And then the House Judiciary Committee, led by Jim Jordan, is happening tomorrow in public. So we'll get to see part of all of that tomorrow. Now, as part of the closed-door hearing, Turner says he plans to work with Durham to identify legislative solutions to fix systemic issues within the Department of Justice. I personally believe the only way you're going to fix the problems at the DOJ is to get rid of the President of the United States, Joe Biden, quite frankly. I also believe that Merrick Garland was not the best choice for that position. It's the only way you're going to fix these problems. Turner said the aspect of Durham's report that he found the most disturbing is that it shows wrongdoing in the FBI, in the Department of Justice, and concerns with the intelligence community itself. He says, I've had personal conversations with John Durham that our goal is to not only go through his report and the issues that he identifies, but to get his recommendations as to where changes need to occur. And again, I think nothing less than the change at the top, truthfully. He added that another top concern is that the DOJ and the FBI used political campaign opposition research to politicize government functions to negatively impact an opposition candidate. You can't do that. That has to stop. So he hopes to work with Durham and the committee to put into place remedies as soon as possible before the next election. Yeah, as soon as possible. Because you already have a DOJ that's going against an opponent in a presidential election, the likely opponent in this next presidential election. It's not just an issue of bad people being in powerful positions who corrupted those positions. It's also that our rules and laws need to be changed so that these mechanisms cannot be used again this way to really harm the American public. You know what's so amazing? That in spite of what happened to Trump in this case, he still came out a winner. Can you imagine where our country would be today if they would have just left him alone? Left him alone. Or if you're going to go after him with voting. You know what I mean? With the legislative process. Because you've got the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. So if you need to go after him on anything, do it legislatively. Go through the process. Or judicially with the Supreme Court. But all of these crazy investigations and then the lies that lawmakers told publicly and under oath when it came to Russia, it was an absolute disgrace. Not only that, but when there was an opportunity to censor the House Democrat Adam Schiff, there are 20 Republicans that didn't do it, that voted against holding Schiff accountable for the lies that he told and for being a huge part of this crazy Russia hoax. Those 20 Republicans, for me, I need an explanation. Otherwise, you're dead to me, as they say. I don't even want to hear from you. Luckily, there were no Tennesseans in that delegation of 20. Thank God. Because I would be truly upset and I'd be on the phone. I'm your constituent. You tell me why you did all that. Anyway, the hearings come as the FBI is investigating Biden for allegedly mishandling classified documents just days after Trump appeared in a Miami court to face 37 federal counts. It's just craziness. All right, but anyway, John Durham tomorrow publicly before a House committee, privately today before a House committee on the Russian hoax. More to come on WTN.
A plea deal reached with Hunter Biden, and a new project that hopes to reduce traffic woes on parts of I-24 was unveiled today. That's coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was hoping to speak with a member of Moms for Liberty today about a vote that happened in Williamson County. I believe it was last night. The Williamson County School Board voted to keep 5 books on the library shelves that the Moms for Liberty were hoping to take off the shelves of the school libraries there in Williamson County. I may be able to schedule that tomorrow. I don't, if the lady from Moms for Liberty is listening, I don't have a company email up in here. And so you may have responded to the time that I was hoping to book you for. And if you have, I apologize, and we'll book that tomorrow. But we will talk about it because I do find it interesting that the book debate continues. And at some point, I have to ask, are we going a little too far? And that's why I want Moms for Liberty on to let me know, no, we're not going too far, and here's why. I mean, I just want to hear the reasoning, because some of these books that the Williamson County School Board voted to keep, which I'm glad they did, on the library shelves, I think in high schools in Williamson County. One of them was Where the Crawdads Sing, and I'm not really sure why that was on the ban list for high schoolers. The Field Guide to the North American Teenager, I am not familiar with that book. Speak is another one. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I'm not familiar with that one, although that seems, that seems familiar to me. Well, at any rate, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close was the other book. So apparently parents were worried about the explicit content that were in these books. But are these books for third graders, or are these books for sophomores, juniors, or seniors in high school? I guess is my question. One of the school board members said, this is an absolute waste of taxpayer money to take an action that we know is going to follow in a lawsuit. So that's why Jay Galbraith actually voted to keep the books in, because they didn't want to get sued. The only people that win is the attorneys, and we get to pay all of them, he said. The board voted 8-2 with one abstention to keep the books in the libraries, the school libraries. We're not talking about public libraries. We're talking about school libraries here. So anyway, I again, the only, out of all of these books, the only one that I'm familiar with is Where the Crawdads Sing. I've been wanting to see the movie. I have not seen the movie. Have you, Mac? I haven't. I would think that would be one that your girlfriend would. I think it feels like a chick flick.
Then she would love it.
But I am familiar with the book, and I am familiar with the contents of the book.
I know Perks of Being a Wallflower. That's the only one that I knew on that list.
Is that pretty explicit?
I mean, it's about like a high school freshman who's depressed and has some family issues. And I mean, there's definitely, I don't know. I mean, how old are these kids that were?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's really
if we're
the
talking
question.
about 16, 17, 18-year-olds,
Absolutely.
It seems like it would be fine. Just like, what is the musical? I know you know what I'm talking about, because it's also a coming of age kind of. Evan, help me.
Oh, Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen. Now, high schoolers loved the musical, loved the movie, loved everything about it, and that's coming of age. But it would also those are topics that are probably a little too intense for a third grader or a fourth grader, right? But a high schooler, it's about high schoolers. That's what they go through. And so that's what it looks like here for the same of the Perks of Being a Wallflower, right? You're talking about a teenager who writes to an unnamed friend, and these epistles chronicle his trials, tribulations, and triumphs as he grows up. So there you go, the Perks of Being a Wallflower. But I wonder, I'm only asking, I wonder if there's a point too far. If it's too much. I mean, teenagers these days, they're reading a lot and they're exposed to a lot. And there are some really wonderful literary works that 16, 17, 18-year-olds can certainly handle, I would think. Because they live it. Does that make sense? So there you go. Now, when you're talking about third graders, fourth graders, second graders, and you're exposing them to books that deal with sexuality and all of that, I'm in 100% agreement with you. They're too young, so let's get them out of those libraries that are kids. You know, when you're talking about school kid libraries, let's get those kinds of books out. And if parents want to read it to them, they can decide to do that on their own at home, but keep them out of the school libraries. I do agree with that. Or anything that's pornographic. We're sexualizing our children way too early. But high schoolers, they're already exposed to it. And if these books are helping kids deal with all of that, I don't know. I have to ask Moms for Liberty. That's the questions that I have for Moms for Liberty. All right, so that is it for that subject. We've got news coming up next and more to come here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 11:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got rain in the area and 74 degrees. A full forecast in a couple of minutes on the traffic front. I-24 westbound at I-440, that's exit 53 there. Got a crash that's got the right two lanes blocked and kind of a mess there, so just a heads up. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has been charged with failing to pay federal income tax and illegally possessing a weapon and has reached an agreement with the Justice Department. As part of the agreement that was made public today, Hunter Biden will plead guilty to misdemeanor tax offenses and is expected to reach an agreement with prosecutors on the felony charge of illegally possessing a firearm while a drug user. The Tennessee Department of Transportation launching the I-24 Smart Corridor project this morning. TDOT is hoping that the overhead electric lane control signs will improve travel time reliability between Rutherford and Davidson counties. Since 2005, TDOT reporting that traffic volumes have increased by more than 60% in the Rutherford County segments of I-24. The Smart Corridor project added 67 overhead lane control signs over 28 miles of I-24 between Nashville and Murfreesboro. That is the latest. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have two people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck? And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person filing at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing education and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 11:36. I'm Pamela Furr. Thank you for being with us today on this cloudy, rainy. It says it's heavy rain right now. Well, you know what? Thank God for the rain. My lawn has been just turning brown, so I'm good. I'm good
so you
with
need
this.
yes.
I need the rain.
Need some moisture.
Gots to have it.
We'll take it.
Absolutely, and then go away tomorrow.
And then bye-bye.
And then see ya. All right. Now, so have you ever heard of, now let's have a little bit of fun. We've been kind of serious all day, and I'm sure Matt Murphy and Brian Wilson, if Brian is back today, and I hope he is. He's been quite under the weather with his shingles, which, by the way, I'm debating, thinking about getting my shingle shot. I know anti-vaxxers are going to go, no.
Don't do it.
But, I mean, my mother had shingles. I've had a cousin that got shingles, and they say it is the most horrific ongoing pain. And so after hearing Brian describe it, I'm thinking I might do it because I am a woman of a certain age.
Yeah.
That also just gave away how old I am. And so now I have regrets.
Well, I
have regrets.
I know
now.
Brian said it on Facebook and I believe on the air, so it's not anything that people haven't heard. He's said that he wishes he would have
gotten it.
Now knowing what it feels like, the pain.
But don't you hear it? No. Don't you hear it?
Of course. Yeah.
Just hear it?
They're outside right now. Yeah.
All right. So I didn't know that this had happened. So apparently there is a singer named BB Rexa. Have you ever heard of BB Rexa? All right. I had never heard of BB Rexa either. But apparently she's had quite a few hits. I went to her YouTube page. You're talking, 20, 30 million views on some of her songs. Okay. And she's kind of now she had brunette hair several years ago. Now she's a blonde, and she's kind of like a bombshell blonde. I would put her in, the category of like she's a big girl. Like when I say big, I mean like a giant. Like she's like an Anna Nicole Smith kind of big, tall person, buxom, that sort of thing. And she's a singer. Forget her look. She's a singer too. So she apparently was on stage. Well, first, let's play some music. She did a duet with Dolly. If this helps you, because I still, even after hearing this song, I'm still not familiar with her. I like it.
I was going to say that sounds really good.
That's Baby.
Gotcha.
Baby. And of course, that's Dolly singing back up. All right, so there you go. That gives you an idea. Now, she has some other, hip hop, pop sounding stuff. Again, millions of people have seen her. So apparently, she was on stage in New York City Sunday night and asked the crowd to put their phones away to avoid distractions. To me, I would think as an artist, I know Taylor Swift embraces it, but some artists are like, will you enjoy this performance, please, and put away your cameras? Because you've got 20,000 people taking videos or more, taking videos. They're not really engaged.
No, they're not in the
really
moment.
Into it, right? Seconds later, someone decided to throw their phone at her and hit her in the
Oh my gosh.
That is awful for me to laugh. So she said, put your phone away. And he's like, well, the heck with you, and threw it and hit her in the head. So anyway, here's one of the witnesses to that. Whoops. Hold on. Here we go. Ooh. Well, the guy's name is Nicholas Malvagna, 27 years old, and he has been charged with assault for allegedly throwing the phone. According to the court document, Malvagna told someone he tried to hit her with the phone because he thought it would be funny. Well, I mean, I am laughing, but unless it's a Nerf phone or something,
exactly,
that can do some damage.
I'm holding my phone right now. Yeah, thinking about me chucking it at someone. That could really.
You could have a little bruise or a concussion. Or, if she were wearing high heels, she could have taken a fall, fell off the stage. I mean, there's all of these things that could have happened to her. So rightfully so, he is being charged with assault. Not funny.
No.
Not funny at all.
Also, throwing something that holds your identity, you're going to be found here.
Well, I don't know. Like with mine, I have a fingerprint. You can't.
Gotcha. You couldn't get into it.
You can't get into it.
I guess same with mine.
Yeah.
Face ID. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless now I do have an emergency. There's an emergency way in my phone that you can get in. So it'll have my ID and then my emergency contact.
Gotcha.
And if I'm allergic to any medicines, you really should fill that. Every phone has that feature.
Oh, wow.
You should really do that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I didn't
If you're
know
in a
that.
car wreck and you're unconscious, that way the police or ambulance, they can get in and find out who you are if you don't have your wallet
Yeah,
with you
that's
or
good to
whatever.
know. Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Here I am, mother. Hey, Mac, you listen to me with my finger pointed. That's what happened to Miss BB Rexa is her name. BB Rexa. All right.
She's got a pretty good black eye, too, looking at this picture. Yeah.
Oh, so it shows.
She posted a picture of her.
So
Yeah.
it really did.
She's got a
Like,
shiner.
hit her hard.
Yeah.
Dangerous. And all she asked you to do is put your phone away and enjoy the show. You paid good money to be there. I'm thinking about this. So two of my most favorite concerts of all. One was a Prince concert in Raleigh, North Carolina. I want to say it was 2012. It may have been 2010, but it was Raleigh. And cell phones were popular, but the high res, certainly not like it is right now. But I didn't use my phone at all, and I enjoyed that show. He did all these encores, and then the lights came up. I know I've told this story before. Lights came up, and a lot of people exited the stadium, right, or the arena. And I was just still in so much awe of what I had just seen. The guy I was dating, he and I just kind of still sat there just waiting for the crowd to leave. And I just was watching it all. And this little guy just kind of walked back up to the stage. He had changed clothes with his guitar. And he said, "Where are y'all going?" And he didn't say it in a microphone. He just kind of said it to the people that were kind of lingering around. And the band started jamming and just doing covers, right? I didn't think, not one time did I think to pull out my phone. I just whoosh ran down to the stage like everybody. So there were about 30 or 40 of us who were actually dancing with Prince and the band as they were doing cover tunes. No joke. Sister Pamela don't dance. I danced that day. And there is no video coverage of it whatsoever.
That is
had
awesome.
I had my phone, I would have missed that true experience. My second most favorite concert was Tina Turner at Starwood Amphitheater. Cyndi Lauper opened for her.
Ooh,
no one had phones at that time. I mean, you had phones. You didn't have cameras on your phone. So you were enjoying the entire experience. I know I've also told this story. It was last year or the year before. I went with a friend who is married to a country artist who did a fan club event, right? And I'll just leave it at that. And I won't tell you. And so I don't know, there's 30 people, 40 people, fan club people, who this country artist was performing for.
Pretty cool.
And you had people standing up in the middle of and it's just him and his guitar, standing up in the middle of it with their cell phones, so that, your cell phone up in the air so you can get the artist behind him.
Yeah.
But that person's standing up. I'm going, will you freaking sit down? He's taking time out of his day to say thank you for your support, and yet you're not supporting him by listening to his performance.
Yeah.
What an insult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
Seriously.
you'd have fan club members get up and go chat with haven't seen you in forever. And you're doing this whole greeting while the guy is sitting right there doing an acoustic, intimate performance. because you're too busy. And then you get a selfie and he's singing for you.
He's trying to, yeah.
So all that to say, I do not mind when an artist says, put your phones away. Do you mind putting your phones away? It's a distraction. Just enjoy this performance. I'm giving you 110%. Be present for this performance. You paid the money. Now let me give you a show that you can go back and say it was the best thing I've ever seen. Because somebody, 9 times out of 10 these days, the artists themselves are recording all their concerts. You know what I mean?
You can go find it on YouTube.
Yeah, you can go find it where it's more professionally done, and you can just, maybe take a picture before you go in, maybe take one picture as the star comes out on the stage, and then be done with it. Or be like me, scour the internet and go, oh, yeah, I was at that concert, and then you save the picture and share it.
Well,
a lot of these photo cred somewhere.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of these people taking videos, they want to show it to their friends. Oh, look what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But Pamela, the story that you just told me about Prince, no video, no pictures. I got all the imagery I needed. I got goosebumps about it. Like, that was the story.
It was the coolest thing, and we were all. None of us could dance. Prince could dance. His band could dance. None of us could dance, and he didn't care, and we didn't care. We were in the moment, in the music, enjoying that time. I mean, it was so fun, and I would have missed it if I'd have broke out the camera. I would have missed it. And so, I mean,
love that.
If I may, you youngsters, you who are addicted to your phones, put them away for a minute and actually be fully present. You're a voyeur if you're looking through the lens of a camera. You are living it if you put the camera away. If you're looking through your own lens, of your own eyeballs.
Love that.
You're actually in it.
Yeah.
Right? You're living it. You're not just a spectator. So there you go, my speech for the day.
That's great.
And I hope that, what is her name again? BB Rexa. I hope that she recovers well.
Yeah.
And now, because of this story, I may try to go see her in concert somewhere. I don't know where she performs.
Yeah.
I don't know. No idea, but I might have to check out more of her music.
Yeah, same. I'll have to look her up after that Dolly song you played. That sounded good.
It's pretty cool. All right, it is 11:48. When we come back, we'll check in with Matt Murphy, who will be in here at noon to get you through the day and get you through the latest headlines. Still looking for that submersive vehicle who was exploring the Titanic wreckage. Still can't find it. So he'll talk about that, I'm sure, and Hunter Biden and his plea deal. It's all straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 11:56. You moved my clock there. Thank you.
I moved my wand. My bad.
You messing with her stuff in there? You messing with my host over there?
A little bit.
He didn't toss
we'll
a
take
phone.
care of this off the air.
I'll turn my own light on. Don't worry.
He didn't toss a phone and hit me in the head, though, so I'm very thankful for that.
That's good.
Yes.
We'll take
Have you
that
been
as a
hit
win.
in the head?
No, BB, what is her name again? BB
Rexa? Is that
Yeah, BB Rexa is a performer. Yes, I had to look her up as well. And she asked the audience to put their phones away while she performed, and a dude threw his at her and hit her in the head. She's got a big old black eye. He's been charged with assault.
You know, everybody gets to live a life of their own choosing. You know what? I mean, it's a free country.
I
but
choose not to throw a phone.
Well, no, not that. But I do not understand. I understand you're on a trip. You want to take a shot of this scene or that scene.
Right.
I do not understand the phone obsessives where all they're doing is taking photos or videos with their phone. You're not enjoying the moment.
That's what we were saying earlier. You're not living. You're a voyeur at this point. You're a spectator looking through the lens of a camera instead of the lens out of your eyeballs. By the way, she's saying Meant to Be with Florida Georgia Line.
Yes, I saw
now
that.
I know
Yes,
who she
I know that too.
is.
Also, we talk about ruining the moment.
Wait. Florida, Georgia, what?
Florida Georgia
Line?
I'm confused. I'm confused. No, I'm just
If
kidding.
it's
was like,
meant to
what?
be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
We talk about it ruining the moment for the person that's videoing or has their phone out.
Yeah.
As a regular concert goer, it ruins the moment for other people around you too. You're standing behind someone with their phone up here and you're going,
You can't see, just put your arms
and
down.
much like parents with kids in a stroller, they think they should have special treatment. It wears me out, and I don't care. I'll open this can of worms. You don't get special treatment because you procreated, nor do you get special treatment because you're filming a video, because you say, hey, you're blocking my view. Well, I'm filming a video. Well, I don't care that you're filming a video. You're blocking my view.
Yeah, I paid good money to see this show. But wait a minute. What does this have to do with children and baby carriages? I'm very confused.
Go to a crowded event and watch how parents with strollers act like they get special treatment because you're supposed to give them a wide berth.
Oh, yes,
or I mean, and they're knocking people in the knees with. I mean, wears me out.
You've been knocked in the knees.
There are certain events that if your kid can't not be in a stroller, maybe it's a little too early to bring your kid to that event. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I don't mean to come off so angry about that, but I am. Hi, Pamela.
Relax, man.
Hey.
We're just getting started.
Yesterday, I was out and about and I was wondering, what are all these people doing out on a Sunday?
It's not Sunday. It was
Monday. It wasn't
Monday.
Sunday. It was Monday. It's odd being off.
Yeah. What did you do for 3 days?
I pressure washed.
Oh, that sounds like. Actually, there's something very rewarding about it.
I love pressure washing. I love.
Can I borrow your pressure washer?
Yeah, I got a 3,800 or 3,000 psi.
You know that means zero to me. No, is that good?
Means nothing to me. Also, sounds fun.
Is that a big deal?
It's
is
not.
That a man?
It's not a bad pressure washer for residential pressure. I mean, the guys that do it for a living have like 4,500 psi or whatever. But yes, I did my front driveway and my back deck and getting ready for the 4th of July holiday season.
Nice. All right, sounds
relaxed.
like fun. All right. Well, I'm sure you're going to talk about Hunter Biden coming up on the show.
There's nothing in the news. Can you help me out with some
It's a little boring these days.
No doubt.
No, it's coming up next after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. See you tomorrow.